5-week course, so you don't have to put up with me a long time. So maybe you can make it through 5 little weeks with me. In this class, we try to look at ministry, what ministry is, and how we can find out if we're in the right place of service or if there's another area of service that we would be better suited for. So Cindy Cox designed this class, and she did a really good job at it. She's put a lot of Bible verses in it, so I'm going to need some help reading some things here in a little bit. And if any of you don't want to read, then just if I give you a paper, just pass it on to somebody else. It'll be fine if you do that. But ministry, discovering and doing it. We want to start out with, what is ministry? What are your ideas of what ministry is? Throw some stuff out at me.
Helping the poor.
Feeding the poor. Anything else?
Sharing the gospel.
Sharing the gospel. What else is ministry?
Visiting sick and people in prison, elderly.
Teaching.
Intercessory prayer.
You're trying to throw big words at me. And it's going to be spelled wrong. I'm sorry.
INDER is fine.
Prayer is the main word there.
To use what God has given you to give to others.
Use what God has given you. That kind of brings us back to the definition that First Baptist uses at the top of your handout there. Ministry is using whatever God has given to you to serve Him and to meet the needs of others. And that's really all it is. And there's a quote that I like. It's Christianity in its purest form is nothing more than seeing Jesus. Christian service or ministry in its purest form is nothing more than imitating Him who we see. To see His majesty and to imitate Him, that is the sum of Christianity. What it boils down to there is ministry is equal, I can't spell again. I know that's not right, but imitating Jesus. And that's what we're called to do, is imitate Jesus in all that we do. And through this class, I hope that we can each find an area where we can imitate Jesus, where we can take that next step from being just ourselves, being just a good person, being somebody that comes and sits in the pew and does all the right things, and to being somebody that actually goes out and does and imitates Jesus, because that's what's important. There's a little story. It's called Outside the Wall. Rainbow is, and this is a true story. It's out of the newspaper. But a rainbow is usually a sign of God's promise that He will never again destroy the world by flood. But that was of little comfort to the people of Grand Forks, North Dakota in April of 1997. 8 blizzards, an ice storm, spring rains, and an early thaw had relocated their comfortable homes, stores, schools, and churches into a world of water. Hal Olson was the disaster relief coordinator for international aid. He immediately began to flood the area with trucks with all kinds of things that they needed. Anything that would be needed was on those trucks. They were distributed by the churches in the region. There was a man who lived across the street from one of these churches. He had fought when they tried to build that church, tried to get them to say, no, I don't want a church in my neighborhood. I don't want those people here. He fought that church until this flood. And when he saw the church responding to the needs of all of the people there, no matter who they were, no matter if they'd ever been inside that church, or if they had fought the church like he did. When he saw the church, he broke down to tears, and I always do this when I'm sorry, but he broke down to tears, and he said, "Now I've seen the church outside of the walls." And that's what First Baptist wants to be. They don't want to be a church building with good people inside. They want to be a church that goes outside of its comfortable walls and helps meet the needs of other people. And that's what we're all about in these classes on Wednesday night. I hope you've been going to them and enjoying those. And I can tell you, even if you've been a Christian for a long time, these classes are great. And they'll help you to develop, and you won't. Sometimes it's almost scary to realize how long you've maybe been in a position and not grown and not noticed that you weren't growing. And these classes will help you do that. So there are two different kinds of ministry in our church, and I think your handouts list those. The first one is institutional. Institutional ministries are church-centered. They're jobs that are set, and they have a nominating committee that generally goes out and fills those jobs. What are some examples of institutional ministries?
Sunday school teachers.
Fellowship committee, Sunday school teachers,
Lord's Supper.
the Lord's Supper committee, baptism. Any of those types of positions where we're going to do that no matter what, so we have to have somebody in charge of it. Those are considered institutional type ministries. Vacation Bible School, we're going to do Vacation Bible School. There's going to be somebody put in charge of it. Sunday school is always going to be. So if I leave this class, they're going to find a replacement. This class is going to continue. Those are considered institutional. The other one listed on there is individual ministries. Individual ministries more people-centered. The people involved in those are called to specific ministries. Those are things that may or may not even be associated with the church, but they're generally centered around a certain group of people, certain type of people, like nursing homes. The church does not go out and say, we absolutely have to visit nursing homes on these days. Now, they want that to happen, but they leave that to individuals to say, yes, I want to go and do that. They don't, the nominating committee doesn't really go out and say, okay, these people are going to visit this nursing home and these people will visit this nursing home. So those are considered individual ministries. Do y'all know of any other individual ministries? Can you think of some?
In the Pregnancy Crisis Center.
Pregnancy Crisis Center.
Women pregnancy thing they do too.
Special Blessings, where when somebody's pregnant, somebody pairs up an older mother with them and they pray together through pregnancy. Any others?
I would think being an alcoholic, helping alcoholics out would be one of the greatest things that you can do.
That's right. That type of ministry is an individual. Any other kinds that you think of? Disaster relief. These are all things that somebody has a heart for. Somebody decides, hey, that's important, and I'm going to go do that whether the church wants to do it or not. And hopefully the church is behind them and helps them, and they work together in that, but they're going to do it regardless. The bus ministry that we have here started out as an individual. Somebody saw a need for kids to get here by a bus. So they made sure, they brought it to the church, but it was an individual type thing. And now, we try to continue that, even though those individuals have left and new people are in, we try to get new people as much as we can. But there have been times, and I've known of it in the last few years, if there wasn't somebody to drive the bus, we didn't live that ministry. It has to be, it's an individual type thing where somebody has to have a heart for it. So our hope is that you'll find both institutional and individual ministries that fit your personalities. We try to minister to people